This was a fun algebra problem where you looked for algebra puzzle where you looked for a pattern, and most of your groups began here, where you found that 3 ladybugs equals 39, so you divided 39 by 3. And once you know what a ladybug is, this row is pretty easy to do. Just subtract 63 minus 39, and you get 24 for a flower. And once you know a flower and a ladybug, add those together and subtract from 61, and you know that 2 popsicles are 24, so divide 24 by 2, and each popsicle has to be 12. And then you simply check by filling in the boxes, adding each row and column, and you know you've got it right. So we began today by reviewing how do you write a variable expression, and then adding to that, how do you evaluate a variable expression. So you first found the perimeter. You guys knew if it's a regular pentagon, all 5 sides are equal. So that's 5x for the perimeter. X plus x plus x plus x plus x is 5 times x. And if x is 10, you just multiply 5 times 10, and it'd be 50 units around there. We don't know what the unit is, centimeters, meters, yards, feet, so we just say units. And then you had to write a variable expression for the perimeter of this trapezoid, which is 3x plus 2y. Remember, 2x plus x is 3x, because 2x is really the same as x plus x. That's what 2x means. I've got 2 x's, and x plus x plus x is 3 of those, and y plus y is plus 2y. And then you had to find the perimeter of this trapezoid if x was 5 rather, and y was 12. So 3 times 5 is 15, 2 times 12 is 24, and use order of operations. You need to multiply before you add, and we got 39 units. And then we just talked about which operations are here. Remember, when you have a number with a variable, it means multiplication. So this has some subtraction, some multiplication, and some addition. This has multiplication, 4 times x, addition, and be really careful here. This means 3 times y squared, or 3 times y times y. You're only squaring the y, and you have 3 groups of that. BH means B times H, and 7C means 7 times C. And then I wanted to make sure you all knew how this was repeated addition, and it means I've got 7 groups of C, so it's C plus C plus C plus C plus C plus C plus C, 7 times added together. That's what 7 times C means. So then we just reviewed that a little bit. 2 times x means x plus x, or 2 times x. 5n means n plus n plus n plus n, or 5 times n. So remember, multiplication is repeated addition. So then we use the soccer idea of substitution. When you evaluate an expression, you simply substitute. So just like Anna went in for Hannah in soccer, 5½ goes in for T in 6 times T. And then you multiply 6 times 5½, and we get 33. We take out D and put in 4, so it's 2 times 4. We take out this D and put in 4. So if you copy it and then rewrite it, substituting 4 for D, and then you simplify this with order of operations. So you multiply first, then it's 27 minus 8 plus 4, which is 23. 4x plus 3y squared becomes 4 times 2 plus 3 times 3 squared. In order of operations, you do the exponents first, do your multiplication, add last. You get 8 plus 27, which is 35. Base times height, 12 times 2½ is, remember, just 2½ groups of 12. So it's 12 and half of 12, which is 30. That's the way you can do that mentally. And 7 times C, when C is 59, think of 59 as 60 minus 1. You've got 7 groups of 60, but I'm short 60 by 1 7 times. So it's really the same as 7 times 60 minus those 7 that I'm short of 60, which is 420 minus 7, or 413. And I was just trying to show here how 12 times 2½ really means 2½ groups of 12. So I've got 12 and 12. That's 2 groups of 12 and a half of 12, which is 6. And if you add them together, you get 30. And then we moved to 3-dimensional cubes, but we were just looking for the surface area. That means how many squares would it take to cover this whole cubes? And cubes have some special characteristics in that all 6 faces are the exact same size. That's what makes them a cube. So how many squares are on one face? Well, I've got 4 rows of 4, so I've got 16. And how many equal-sized faces? Well, there's a top, a bottom, a front, a back, a right, and a left. So I've got 6 groups of 16, which is 96 square centimeters. And that's what 6e squared means. E squared means how many squares are on one face. If I let e be the length of this edge, and this is like the big cubic decimeter I showed you, the blue one in class, which is 10 rows of 10. 10 times 10 is 100, and I've got 6 sides of 100, and that would be 600 square centimeters. So for this cube, we can just use this formula. 6e squared is the same thing as 6x squared. So this is x times x, and I've got 6 groups of them. And that's how that makes sense. And then you had to substitute 3.5 centimeters for x. So if this was 3.5 long and 3.5 wide, I'd have 6 groups of 3.5 times 3.5. 3.5 times 3.5 is 12.25. I've got 6 groups of 12.25, which is 73.5 square units. That would cover that, or square centimeters in this case. Then we did this to get you out of your seats. You walked about, paired, think, and then shared. So for this one, it was BH, which means base times height, and that was 36 square units. And we did each of these just walking around, pairing, and sharing with your partner. So really, it's just substitute and multiply whatever B is times H, and the answers are in red. And then for homework, choose either assignment, basic, but do all of it, or the challenge, make sure you show your work. And that's it.